The opinions and views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of this network, their group, or other organization they may be involved with.
I'm looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of Tuesday evening news. Tuesday evening
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Psychedelic Reporters for this Tuesday, the 18th of February, episode 146, here on NOK Network. It's a video news podcast focused on psychedelic medicine being reported in mainstream media. Shout out to the guys at that ringer from Kirkland Lake, Ontario for the awesome intro track recorded by the Booty Blues with some customized changes for our show. I am joined by my amazing joints of fill-in host, Ron McDowell. Along with the one and only Blueball Various, who has chosen all of our stories for us. Hello, Ron.
Hey, hello, hobbies, and hello, everyone. I'd like to introduce Bufo. Hold on. Yep, there we go. Hold on. There we go. I'd like to introduce Bufo. Along with the hold on, I lost my spot. Along with the one and only Bufo Alvarius, who has chosen all of our stories for us. No, this is not. I'm sorry. Hello, hobbies. Hello, everyone. Take two on this. I'd like to introduce Bufo. He is the Sonoran Desert Toad or Colorado Mud Toad, and he emits DMT from his skin. And I'd just like to remind you all that. The park rangers remind everyone to please don't lick the toad. I want to save Bufo there, right?
Yeah, right. Well, it's common sense. When you walk around, you don't lick things. I mean, you just don't go around licking stuff.
Right. That kind of goes to say you just don't go randomly licking things that you find, right? So, hey there, Todd. How's it going?
It's going good. We got back from Mardi Gras weekend, and I still have yet to want to take off my costume. I really enjoyed this. When I go back a couple weeks, I'm going to wear a jester hat, so that'll be fun.
Right. So it sounds like you had an amazing time, and it was like I've seen videos of Mardi Gras before, and it just seems like an all-out great time. And
yeah, I do a lot of
right there. You were right there.
Yeah, dude, it was fun. It was a great time, man. Anybody get a chance, it's on your bucket list, go and experience it. I would hit one of the bigger ones. I mean, the adult stuff is cool. But the bigger ones, if you're spending all that money for travel, make sure you're hitting one of the bigger ones too, because get your money's worth.
Exactly, yeah. So listen to what Todd's saying there. He certainly knows what he's talking about. So
yeah.
Right. What was that, Todd?
I was going to say, one of these days we'll be Mardi Gras experts, and we can really give you the tourism part. Last time we were in, yeah, I mean, we were talking to a lady that lives there, and we might get hired for a celebrity tour. Where we would fill you in, and I'm like, I don't know anything, and she's like, oh, that's okay, just make stuff up. So we'll be like, oh, that's the place where you got drunk at and dressed in the alleyway and got a ticket. No.
All right, that sounds like that'd be fun, right?
Yeah, back to psychedelics, dude. Although I do suggest taking psychedelics if you are at the market. Oh, wait. That's my opinion, not the news. Okay, so psychedelic news brings us to our first article, which is CPR.org. And Colorado doesn't matter. Psilocybin, also known as psychedelic mushroom, shows promise as an antidote for depression. And now Colorado researchers are recruiting subjects for a study, and this is by Andrea Dukakis. Can you read it for us there, Rob?
I can do that. This certainly sounds interesting. As Colorado becomes one of the nation's first states to legalize psilocybin, researchers are studying whether the drug, combined with therapy, can help people with major depression. Our conversation with Scott Thompson, a neuroscientist at the University of Colorado School of Medicine, is part of our series, The Trip, a CPR news series on Colorado's new psychedelic movement. Thompson, who also directs the Psychedelic Public Policy Partnership, which has advised the state on the new psilocybin law, also discusses the potential benefits of the drug for conditions like bipolar disorder and alcoholism. And here's more information about the study, and there's a clickable link there on depression, including criteria for people interested in participating. And it's a nice short little story there. And so yeah, sounds very interesting. Their series, The Trip.
Well, and now it makes you wonder. So, are these active alcoholics that are stopping, wanting to stop? I mean, like, are these people that are still going to drink? Like, how did they start? Like, getting participants for it? You know, like, it was a great article. Yeah.
Yeah, there might be more information on that little clickable link there for the more information about the study, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
a lot of cool things going on with studies and retreats. And speaking on that, with this new article right here on Yahoo Life, ukstyle.yahoo.com, what is ayahuasca? Netflix apple cider vinegar explores psychedelic retreats. So this was written by Emma Clark and contributed by her. So can you start us out, Rob?
yeah, sure, I can do that. Ayahuasca, also known as yage, is a hallucinogenic plant-based brew used as medicine in regions of the Amazon, using the Banisteriopsis vine and Psychotria shrub. The potent concoction was first formulated by indigenous South Americans and is said to benefit the brain and general well-being of those who take it. That said, the psychoactive brew has also been associated with severe and sometimes life-threatening side effects. Still, the lore around the medication and its use extends beyond the indigenous peoples of the region. It is often referenced in pop culture, from Prince Harry's Ayahuasca Confession, William S. Burroughs' novel Queer, and the 2024 film adaptation featuring Daniel Craig and Drew Starkey, to more recently Netflix's Apple Cider Vinegar, a dramatization of the Belle Gibson social media scandal of 2015. In the latter, which was released on the streaming platform last week, the fictitious character of Lucy Guthrie, played by Tilda Cobram Hervey, is influenced by Gibson's praise of alternative treatments and, in a desperate bid to fight breast cancer, takes herself off to Peru to an ayahuasca retreat. There, she samples the brew, at first questioning its effect. Before long, she starts vomiting and wanders off into the woods, where she starts hearing voices and feeling strange sensations. So convinced is she by the powers of the tea that she signs up for a second round and pays for it on her card. Here, we explore the benefits and side effects of ayahuasca, as well as what really happens at these retreats.
First things first, how does ayahuasca work? Victoria Viridis, one of the two main ingredients of ayahuasca, contains the psychedelic substance N,N-dimethyltryptamine, or DMT. Although punchy stuff, the body's enzymes, monoamine oxidases, quickly break it down in the liver and gastrointestinal tract. It is therefore combined with venom Terraeopsis capi, which is monoamine oxidase inhibitors, to prolong the psychoactive effects. The combination alters mood, sense of reality, brain activity, often leading to what is called out-of-body experience. What effects it can last several hours, and depending on the individual, it can take a long time to kick in. Oh wow, is ayahuasca illegal?
Yeah, ayahuasca is considered a Class A drug and is therefore illegal in the UK. Possession of the substance is punishable by 7 years in prison and an unlimited fine, but there are still underground retreats. Countries where ayahuasca is legal include Netherlands, Spain, Germany, Jamaica, and Costa Rica, as well as Peru, Brazil, Colombia, and more. It is also legal in some states, including Arizona, California, Florida, and Texas, with the Supreme Court ruling in 2006 that some religious groups, such as the União do Vegetal, can continue its ceremonies as they are protected under the 1993 Religious Freedom Restoration Act. And what are the benefits and side effects of ayahuasca?
The benefits are, according to Australia's Alcohol and Drugs Foundation, the substance can impact people in different ways, depending on a number of factors, including a person's size, weight, and health, whether the person is used to taking it, whether other drugs are taken around the same time, and the amount taken, the strength of the decoction vary from batch to batch, the environment where the drug is taken. There have been numerous studies into the effects of ayahuasca, looking at its impact on mental health, depending depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and drug dependence. In a 2018, where participants were given a single dose of ayahuasca or a placebo, experts found that those on the drug had modulated salivary cortisol levels, the hormone linked to stress and severe depression. They concluded that the antidepressant properties of ayahuasca therefore should be explored further. Equally, a 2013 medical review found that various studies had suggested that the drug's beneficial effects for treatment-resistant depression, anxiety, and depression associated with life-threatening diseases and tobacco and alcohol dependence, concluded that ayahuasca could be an important pharmacological tool for those with mood disorders and substance dependency. More research is required in the effect it has on PTSD.
And common side effects of taking the drug include vomiting, diarrhea, paranoia, panic, raised heart rate, and according to Talk to Frank, it can also lead to seeing and hearing things that aren't there, so in other words, hallucinating, which might be a good or bad experience. Feeling like time and movement is speeding up or slowing down. Feeling like colors and sounds are distorted. This is sometimes called visuals. Having double vision, and feeling like you're having an out of body experience. Potential risks of ayahuasca: raised blood pressure, raised heart rate, can be harmful to those with a pre existing heart condition, can cause nausea and vomiting as a result of intoxication, can lead to flashbacks, can be especially serious for someone with a history of mental health problems. It could trigger a problem for someone who didn't know they had a predisposition to mental health problems, and can lead to the user harming himself or herself if the trip goes bad. So it's probably best to avoid taking DMT if you're in a bad or anxious mood. Can lead to lead to unpleasant and emotional effects that could last for days after taking the drug.
In 2014, a 19-year-old British student named Henry Miller died after taking part in an ayahuasca ceremony in Colombia. His body was found by the roadside in the Rumbao, Putumayo region, 4 years later in 2018. A coroner ruled the cause of the accidental death was intoxication. Mr. Miller's family said in a statement, "Young travelers should be made aware of the small but real dangers of this practice." Retreats and ayahuasca ceremonies. Wow.
Yeah, although the drug and retreats are illegal in the UK, there are various retreats around the world offering travelers and visitors a chance to take the brew. In Europe, there are some based in Ibiza, Barcelona, the Netherlands, and parts of Germany. Traditional ceremonies take place at night with the effects lasting some hours. The ritual begins after a shaman prepares and blesses the brew. They then pass the tea around circles of guests and may also perform music or chant to help enhance the psychedelic experience. Each guest has their own unique experience under the guidance of the shaman or host before they are invited to share their stories with the others. In addition to the aforementioned side effects, it is common for participants to cry or show signs of release. The aim of retreats is to aid a person's journey to self-discovery or healing. Depending on the program, retreats may also combine ayahuasca ceremonies with practices such as yoga, meditation, and nature excursions. And so that sounds quite interesting there, right? But certainly ayahuasca is not something to fool around with and take lightly. But
Very impressed. So, I'm looking forward to this when it comes out. I would like to see this film, the T film. I don't know if it's already out. Bear with me. My computer is froze here for a second. Pop up. Okay. All right, here we go. But share screen. So going to be come on, pop up. A really kick-ass article, actually. So we've been following this with election time coming in the United States, and now Smartphone Magazine.nl is, I believe this is a European site, writes, Mind's Medicine Skyrocket. What RFK Jr.'s confirmation means for psychedelics. And this is written by Daniel Thompson.
Mind Medicine stocks surged by nearly 21% after Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was confirmed as Secretary of Health and Human Services. Kennedy supports psychedelic therapies, aligning with Mind Medicine's mission to develop psychedelics as mental health treatments. Another point here is the political development may enhance the biopharmaceutical company's path towards regulatory acceptance. Next point is, despite no current no current revenue, Mind Medicine is advancing clinical trials, notably a phase 3 study on LSD for generalized anxiety disorder. The outcomes of these trials could significantly affect the company's stock and influence the broader mental health treatment landscape. Kennedy's role might not only shift healthcare policy, but also drive innovation in mental health care. Mind Medicine's stock is on a wild ride, climbing nearly 17% by mid-afternoon and almost hitting 21% earlier in the day. This dramatic surge follows Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s confirmation as Secretary of Health and Human Services, approved in a nail-biting Senate decision marked by narrow divides and surprising alliances. Only Senator Mitch McConnell broke rank, standing solo among Republicans against Kennedy's appointment. Kennedy has publicly supported the use of psychedelics in therapeutic treatment, a stance that aligns with Mind Medicine's pioneering work. As a result, investors are abuzz with anticipation. The company's core mission of transforming psychedelics into viable mental health treatments stands to gain traction, potentially smoothing the path to regulatory acceptance.
Despite lacking revenue streams, the tides may be turning for biopharmaceutical trailblazer Mind Medicine is taking the strides with clinical trials that could be redefined anxiety treatment. The much-anticipated phase 3 study of legisterate D-tartrate LSD kicks off shortly, aiming to explore its potential to alleviate generalized anxiety disorder. With over 250 patients set to participate, the outcomes could significantly influence the stock's trajectory. As political landscape shifts, Mind Medicine sits on the brink of a pivotal moment. Kennedy's confirmation may not solely redefine healthcare policy, but could also catalyze an era of innovation in mental health treatment. It's a watchworthy scenario where science meets politics, ushering in potential breakthroughs that might just have revolutionized lives. Investors and advocates alike are left wondering, will this be dawn of a new age in mental health care? Wow.
Yeah. Will psychedelics revolutionize mental health under new leadership? Mind Medicine also okay, so features, specs, and pricing. Mind Medicine, also known as MindMed, is a biopharmaceutical company focused on developing psychedelic-derived medicines. Their flagship studies involve substances like lysergide D-tartrate, LSD, for treating mental health conditions such as generalized anxiety disorder, GAD. Unlike traditional companies with tangible products or pharmaceuticals, the pricing and revenue streams for Mind Medicine hinge on the successful development and approval of their ongoing clinical trials. How-to steps and life hacks. One, research before investing. Look into the progress of MindMed's clinical trials and updates regarding FDA approvals. Understanding the stages of clinical trials can give insight into potential future success. Number two, stay informed. Track political changes, especially those related to healthcare regulations. Policy shifts, like the recent confirmation of a pro-psychedelic Secretary of Health and Human Services, can greatly influence biotech companies. And number three, diversify investments. While the success potential is high, so are the risks. Balancing your portfolio with other biotech stocks or industries can mitigate potential losses. Real-world use cases. Historically, psychedelics have been stigmatized, but recent studies suggest potential benefits for mental health issues. If MindMed's trials succeed, psychedelics could become mainstream treatments for conditions like anxiety, PTSD, and depression. And clinics could integrate psychedelic assisted therapies as part of their offerings.
Market forecasts and industry trends. Psychedelic drug market is expected to grow substantially, with estimates projecting it to be worth 6.8 billion by 2027. The increasing acceptance of mental health treatment and political support could accelerate this trend. Reviews and comparisons compared to traditional anxiety medications like SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, psychedelics offers a fundamentally different mechanism. Well, SSRIs are typically over longer periods. Psychedelic treatments might involve fewer sessions with potentially long-lasting effects. However, current evidence is still emerging. Oh, controversies and limitations. Wow, tell us about that.
Yeah, despite promising data, psychedelics face significant regulatory and social hurdles. Stigma and legal barriers remain in many regions. Moreover, there is limited long-term research on the effects of medical psychedelic use. Security and sustainability. Well, investment in MindMed entails understanding the security of supply chains for psychedelic substances, which are still heavily regulated. Sustainable synthesis and ethical sourcing of these substances are vital as the industry grows. Next section here is insights and predictions. With RFK's Jr.'s appointment, increased government focus on mental health treatments can be expected. Companies like MindMed could gain from expedited regulatory processes, increasing investor interest. However, investors should monitor ongoing legislative developments. A pros and cons overview. The pros is an innovative treatment landscape, growing acceptance and interest in psychedelics, and political and scientific support increasing potential for success. And some of the cons, high risks attached to biopharmaceutical stocks, regulatory hurdles still exist, and lack of long-term studies on effects. Concluding some quick tips, monitor clinical trials, so keep an eye on results from MindMed's phase 3 study, as successful outcomes could lead to a significant stock movement. And then there's engage with the community, join forums and discussions related to psychedelic investments to stay updated with latest regulatory changes and market trends. And then last but not least, balance risk. Given the volatile nature of biotech stocks, use this opportunity to strengthen your broader investment strategy. And there you go. So really good story there. And there you have it, folks.
Yeah. It is. And stocks, that's going to help the world go around, man. The funding, if there aren't investors, they don't have the money to do the research. And I mean, but it is. You never know what's going to happen. Because look what this other company that after the MDMA and all the investors put in that, how much millions were lost because they did not get that FDA approval.
Exactly. Yeah. So in this story, it did mention the important part of it is do your research when you are investing in these companies, and that's a good piece of advice for any company though that you're going to invest in. Do your research, right?
Yeah. And that brings us to a medication time.
It is. It's time to pay some bills, folks. So stay tuned for a word from some of our sponsors. Then we will return making more with more articles that Bufo has chosen, making mainstream media news.
Back in 4 minutes and 20 seconds here on the Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Advertising space available at NOK. Contact us for a rate sheet at NOKNetwork.com.
Discover the treasure trove of flavors at Miss Jolly's Munchie Factory. Satisfy your cravings with our award-winning treats. Follow us on Instagram at Captain Rogers705. Let Miss Jolly's Munchie Factory lift your spirits. Experience the comforting embrace of our freshly prepared soups and infused cornbread.
Join us for NOK Network monthly specials, 12 months a year. Movie nights. Spotlights on entertainment. And live on location coverage. Stay up to date about upcoming programming by subscribing to NOK Network on Rumble, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, Twitch, and Facebook. Check out our webpage at www.noknetwork.com.
Hey, hi, my name is John Mark, aka Sublimator Warrior, and I would like to welcome you to Smoke Signal in Tyndinaga.
One dab make your whole dome drip sweat. One dab make the homies all dip set.
Smoke Signals, Tyndinaga.
Smoke Signals, Tyndinaga.
Smoke Signals, Tyndinaga.
Ooey, ooey, gooey, that's a sticky dab. Sticky dab. Might just have to put this one on Instagram.
Smoke Signals, Tyndinaga.
Hold it in, feel it in your ribs.
Smoke Signals, Tyndinaga.
Check us out in Tyndinaga. 55 Highway 49 in Tyndinaga. It's on the res, and we're open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week.
Tune in daily to NOK Network's diverse podcasting lineup. Ganja News Update, Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern with Tara Simpson and Ron McNabb. Waking Up with the Waniac, Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific with Tombstoner Wayne Cruz from Tombstone, Arizona. Grow 420, Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern with Ron McNabb. Psychedelic Reporters, Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern with Hobbies Puppets and Tara Simpson. Peace, News and Views, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern with Sir Stevo and Kim Cooper. Thursdays we have Open Your Eye with Kim Cooper and Tara Simpson, 8 p.m. Eastern. Followed by Thursday Night Vibes at 9:15 p.m. Eastern with Master and Mama Rochi. The IWK 710 Daily Sesh airs 7 nights a week with our rotating joint hosts, nightly at 7 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for tuning in to all the podcasting on NOK Network.
Listen to that. Enjoy the show, man.
And we're back from our medication session live on Psychedelic Reporters here on NOK Network.
And we have another set of stories coming at you from the realm of medicine. So, let's get at it.
Yeah, that's
All
right.
right. Oh, crap. You know, that whole time I was popping and I didn't pull any of these articles up.
Oh, wow. Do you need me to bring them up, or you got them there, Mel?
Yeah, if you can pull up the first one, I'll pull up the other two.
Yeah, I can do the first one for sure. Here we go, right here. One more click. And here we go. And there we go. So this story here is coming to us from Marijuana Moment. Nevada activists press lawmakers to approve psychedelic mushroom pilot program this year. And this is brought to you by Marijuana Moment on February the 15th, 2025. By April Corbin Gurnis, Nevada Current. In December 2020, Ben Strawn thought he'd lost the will to live. It had been a long, isolating year for the Reno-based wildland firefighter. The COVID pandemic was still in full swing, and that year's fire season had been extreme. My central nervous system was smoked. He says, I hadn't seen my family in 20 months, and I was just exhausted. Strawn had recently been promoted to supervisor of a hotshot crew, the name given to firefighters who battled the hottest and most complex wildfires across the country. It was his dream job. He could handle high-stakes pressure, including that year's 1 million acre fire in Mendocino, California area. But once fire season had waned, he confronted internal demons and unaddressed trauma. I found myself sitting on the edge of a bed on a chilly winter morning, the sun pouring through the windows and the heat hitting my back, and I just remember it felt so good, he recalls. I remember putting on my running shoes like I would every morning just to combat the struggles that I would be feeling, and in that moment, I decided to put the gun to my head and pull the trigger. He continues, luckily for me, the gun didn't go off. The moment served as a wake-up call for Strawn. He needed to do something, but he was hesitant to embrace antidepressants, fearing potentially nasty side effects and the possibility of being on medication indefinitely. So he began researching alternative treatment options. He came across something touted as non-addictive that could offer near-instant results: psychedelic medicine.
That idea of them being drugs kind of gave me a lot of fear, he says. But here I am at the end of my rope, basically, and I'm saying to myself, well, I have to try something. Stratham is fire alone. He's one of the growing number of people turning to psychedelic treatment health issues such as depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and addiction. But he had to seek treatment in another country. That's because psychedelic assisted therapy is currently illegal nearly everywhere in the United States. But there's growing momentum in the United States to legalize certain psychedelics, namely psilocybin, the active ingredient in what people call mushrooms, magic mushrooms. That push was well underway in Nevada, where at least 2 bills dealing with legalization of psychedelic assisted therapy are expected to be introduced on the legislature this year. The legislative session began February 3rd and runs until early June. John Dalton is retired Navy SEAL and president of the Nevada Coalition for Psychedelic Medicine, a nonprofit working on legislation with Nevada State Senator Rochelle Nagarian and Assemblyman Max Carter, both Democrats from the Las Vegas. Like Strahan, Dalton started off skeptical about psychedelic medicine. This to me sounded like an extension of, the hippies generation of drugs in, the 60s and 70s, says. But when fellow SEAL implored him to seriously consider it, Dalton obliged out of respect. He discovered that scientific research into psychedelics as mental health treatments predate the Woodstock era by multiple years, and that indigenous populations across the globe have used psychedelic medicine for thousands of years. Wow.
Right. Dalton decided to travel to Mexico to try psilocybin mushrooms and address the traumas from his 23-year military career which included 7 documented traumatic brain injuries. The results were absolutely transformative, he says. 2 years later, Dalton co-founded the Nevada Coalition for Psychedelic Medicine with Kate Cotter, a lifelong creative whose own struggles with depression and anxiety led her to psychedelic medicine. During the Nevada State Legislature's last session in 2023, their coalition successfully lobbied to establish a working group to study psychedelic medicine legislation. This year, they are hoping lawmakers will take action and approve a small, highly regulated pilot program allowing for controlled use. Many of the loudest voices in the push for psychedelics are veterans and first responders, groups whose rates of depression and suicide are significantly higher than average. But the coalition Dalton and Cotter have grown is broad. It doesn't fall along clear politically ideological lines. It tends to cross demographics, age, young people, seniors, retired folks, professionals, artists across the board, Cotter says. It's really beautiful. The shift in public perception of psychedelics in recent years is similar to the broader cultural embrace of marijuana, which remains federally listed as a Schedule I controlled substance, but is fully legal in 24 states. Dustin Hines, a University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV professor who researches psychedelics, remembers years of being jokingly referred to at academic conferences as the shroom guy. But now, much to his delight, whole panels and conferences are dedicated to the potential of psychedelics.
There's been change in how we look at what these plant molecules, what CBD can actually save lives, and people are now open to that idea. Some psychedelics can have that effect too. Ted says, prominent public figures have come out in support of psychedelics. President Donald Trump's pick for U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. has said the psychedelics should be legalized in some form. More mainstream conservative politicians, including former Texas Governor Rick Perry and U.S. Representative from Texas Dan Crenshaw, have also voiced their support for psychedelic-assisted therapy. Some states have begun exploring legalization in 2020. 2020, Oregon became the first state to legalize assisted therapy. Though there have been pushback from cities, Colorado became the second state in 2022. In both states, voters changed the law through ballot questions. Other states are considering legalization. The Utah lawmakers last year approved a pilot program, though it has yet to come to fruition. Nevada could be next. One piece of legislation, the Nevada Coalition for Psychedelic Medicines is pushing for work to create a pilot program that could be scaled up over time. A companion bill could tweak criminal laws to allow for the pilot program to be legal. In 2020, the bill to establish a psychedelic medicine working group passed the legislature with widespread bipartisan support and was signed into law by Republican Governor Joe Lombardo. But legislation proposing the consumption of any psychedelic substance will likely to meet more resistance than anything simply studying. Opponents who view that psychedelic assisted therapy proposals are a gateway to full recreational use, especially among teenagers or young adults whose brains are still developing. Erica Rice, the child psychiatrist, was one of several people who spoke in opposition of an early version of the 2023 bill. Wow.
Yeah, we do have a large body of research that indicates that hallucinogens are harmful to the developing brain up to the age of 25 years and can predispose to long-term psychotic mental illness like schizophrenia. And secondly, that teenage substance abuse is driven by the perception of safety and low risk, which is in turn driven by legalization. By decriminalizing these substances, we are in effect telling our young people these substances are safe, and they're going to believe us on that. We will see an increase in the use of these substances, which unfortunately, although there is some research, is not quite as glowing as I believe was presented today, Rice said in testimony before the legislature. Law enforcement groups are also wary of decriminalization of hallucinogenic substances. The Nevada Coalition is adamant that their goal is not to have shroom shops next to every marijuana dispensary. Ben Strahan, the wildland firefighter who almost became a number in his profession's higher than average suicide statistics, opposes full legalization. In his eyes, psychedelic medicines must be regulated because of how profound the experience can be for those who partake. Strahan tries to be careful with his words when describing his experience with psychedelic mushrooms. He says, "I don't want to say it fixed me. I don't think that's the appropriate way of speaking about these. What I would call medicines and/or technology, appropriate way of speaking about these, what I would call medicines and/or technologies. I would say that they do. I would say that what they do is they give you a key to a door, and behind that door is realization of things that you already know. Individuals' experiences are unique. For Strahan, it began with a conscious setting of intention, then ingesting the psilocybin mushrooms. Then came the presence of a feminine energy and a visual experience. He says he doesn't know how to put it into words. He asked existential questions about his purpose. He received a divine answer that he was asking the wrong questions. Then Strahan says he experienced what's known as an ego death, a disintegration of my ego, like straight up. Coming out of that, I entered into a very beautiful place, beautiful experience, feeling a lot of emotions of love and self-love mostly. It taught me to surrender, and it taught me how to love again. Strahan believes those who want to try psychedelic medicines should be able to without having to leave the country like he did. He knows it might be a tough sell for some. As a quote, no matter what you think about what this might be, you cannot take the experience I had away from me. The healing that I was able to accomplish, the man that this helped me become, is something that nobody can take away from me, he says. And people using psychedelics often describe their experiences through spiritual language. They describe divine presences, as Strahan did. They say they feel at one with the universe or nature or God. But there is science behind the shrooms.
Rochelle Hines, who you like her husband, Dustin Hines, is a UNLV professor focused on psychedelics, is an expert in it. If you like a look at chemical structure of the molecules inside psilocybin or mescaline, you can compare them to other chemical structures. We know they actually look like a whole lot like neurotransmitters in our own bodies, she said. You've probably heard of some neurotransmitters Rochelle Hines is referring to. Norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, pharmaceutical antidepressants, such as Prozac. So oftentimes to regulate the levels of neurotransmitters in the brain. And so, it's just based on the chemical structures of compounds. We get some insights of what these molecules might be doing, she says. These studies have shown that selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, known as SSRIs, are not effective in a majority of patients. Psychedelics have shown to improve neuroplasticity. Michael Pollan, author of How to Change Your Mind, famously uses the metaphor of the mind as a snowy hill. Each time this sled goes down the hill, the grooves it leaves deepen, and the more becomes likely like a sled will be pulled into that path next time it goes down. Psychedelics reset snow, allowing new paths to be created, paths that can be happier or healthier. What the world could do with better understanding of psychedelics is an emerging issue. Could these cellular or molecular effects be isolated and used to develop something not hallucinogenic could help people in clinical studies? Some companies are already exploring these possibilities. Rochelle Hines isn't sure. She says that thinks a real open question is what's going to work or not. A lot of people do actually reconfirm the idea that rehashing of the past, seeing yourself in new light, seeing the world in a new light, the feeling that interconnectedness is something greater with nature, all of them things are part of that psychedelic experience. Dustin Hines is equally unsure that's what's part of makes his wife's research so compelling. We don't even have the words of this yet. He says it isn't mind. I don't know that it's mind. And is it spiritual? Yeah, I'm okay with that. Is it magic? I'm okay with that. But we might not even have the tools as scientists to really get at what it is this is. Only study as a controlled environment and may be able to get at it. And that advocates argue will require some form of legalization.
Great.
Ah, what a great article. Great article.
That is. Very great article. Very great. I really enjoyed that one. I was so enthralled in it. I've got the next story up here now. If you ready or whatever, there, I got it.
Oh, okay.
There,
oh, sweet. Yeah, the next article, and it'll be our last one because time's getting a little on the lower side here. But this comes from sidepost.org. This is psychedelic use linked to reduce distress, increased social engagement in autistic adults. And it was written by Eric Dolan. What a great article this is. I want to get, why don't you get into it for us?
Okay, so a recent study has found that some autistic adults report lasting improvements in their mental health and social lives after using psychedelic drugs. The research published in the journal Psychopharmacology revealed that a significant number of autistic individuals attributed reductions in distress and social anxiety, along with increased social engagement, to a single impactful psychedelic experience. However, the study also highlighted that a minority of participants experienced negative effects, emphasizing the need for caution and further research in this area. There is a growing interest in the potential of psychedelic drugs to treat various mental health conditions such as depression and post-traumatic stress disorder in the general population. Autism spectrum disorder, a developmental condition characterized by challenges in social interaction and communication, as well as repetitive behaviors, often co-occurs with mental health difficulties. Autistic individuals are known to experience higher rates of anxiety, depression, and loneliness, and often report a lower quality of life compared to non-autistic people. While psychedelics are being explored as therapies for mental health in broader populations, there is very little scientific understanding of how these substances affect autistic individuals specifically. Some anecdotal accounts suggested that psychedelics might be helpful for autistic people, potentially by improving their understanding of themselves and their emotions. But rigorous research was lacking. The new study aimed to investigate the experiences of autistic adults who have used psychedelics and to understand if they perceived any changes in their mental health and social abilities as a result.
To conduct their investigation, the researchers used an online survey to gather information from adults who identified as autistic. Participants were recruited through an advertisements on social platforms, online forums related to psychedelics and autism, and by collaborating with an organization called Autistic Psychedelic Community. The advertisements were carefully worded to encourage participants for individuals with both positive and negative psychedelic experiences. To be included in the study, participants had to be at least 18 years old, fluent in English, either have a formal diagnosis of autism from a healthcare professional, or self-identify as autistic. They also needed to have used a psychedelic substance at least once in their lives. A total of 284 people completed the survey. For their analysis, the researchers focused on 233 participants who reported that their most impactful psychedelic experiences involved a classic psychedelic drug such as lysergic acid, LSD, or psilocybin, the active compound, and magic mushrooms. The other participants who were excluded from the main analysis had reported that their most impactful experiences was with substances like MDMA, cannabis, or ketamine. The survey asked participants to think about the single most impactful psychedelic experience to experience questions about the effect of that experience. They were asked to rate how impactful their experiences were compared to other events in their lives, using a scale from no more than routine experiences to the single most impactful experience of my life. Participants then completed a series of questionnaires that were adapted to assess perceived changes in different areas of their lives since the impactful psychedelic experience. Wow.
Yeah, that's cool. To understand the nature of the psychedelic experience itself, participants completed questionnaires about their subjective experiences during the drug effects. This included the Mystical Experience Questionnaire, which measures feelings of unity, sacredness, and transcendence, and the Challenging Experience Questionnaire, which assesses difficult emotion and sensations like fear, grief, and paranoia that can occur during a psychedelic experience. To assess perceived changes, the researchers adapted several well-established psychological questionnaires. For example, the Depression, Anxiety, and Stress Scale, which usually asks about symptoms in the past week, was modified to ask about long-term changes believed to be caused by the psychedelic experience. The response scale was also changed to range from decreased very much to increased very much, allowing participants to report both positive and negative changes. Other areas assessed included social anxiety using the social phobia inventory, and psychological flexibility using the acceptance and action questionnaire 2, where a decrease indicates increased flexibility, and hold on, yeah, okay, where a decrease indicates increased flexibility, and autism-related traits using the autism quotient short. Changes in social connection and engagement were measured using the social connectedness scale and the Lubin social network scale, respectively. Loneliness and satisfaction with relationships and sex life were also assessed. The study found that a large majority of participants considered their chosen psychedelic experience to be among the most impactful experiences of their lives. When looking at the perceived changes, the researchers found that most participants reported improvements in several areas. A significant percentage, over 80%, believed their most impactful psychedelic experience led to a reduction in general psychological distress. Those are amazing numbers.
Great numbers, great. So similarly, around 78% reported a decrease in social anxiety. 70% felt an increase in their social engagement. Uh, Participants also reported feeling more psychologically flexible, meaning they felt more able to accept and cope with difficult thoughts and feelings. Intensive, interestingly, a majority also reported a decrease in traits were typically associated with autism, as measured by the autism quotient score, and decrease in feelings of loneliness. Furthermore, many participants reported increasing satisfaction with their relationships and their sex lives. However, the study also revealed that not all experiences were positive. A notable minority, about 20% of participants, reported undesirable effects, including increases of anxiety. Some of these individuals describe their psychedelic experiences as one of the most negatively impactful events in their lives. Wow.
Yeah, and to understand what factors might be linked to these changes, the researchers conducted statistical analysis. They found that the most significant factor predicting a reduction in psychological distress was an increase in psychological flexibility. In other words, participants who became more psychologically flexible after their psychedelic experience were more likely to report feeling less distressed overall, while the intensity of the mystical aspects of the psychedelic experience was weakly associated with reduced stress. It was not as strong a predictor as psychological flexibility. Surprisingly, the intensity of challenging experiences during the psychedelic episode was not found to be a significant predictor of changes in mental health or social engagement. Although those who reported increased distress did report experiencing more challenging experiences on average. The researchers acknowledged several limitations to their study. Because participants were recruited through online forums and social media, particularly those related to psychedelics, the sample may not be representative of all autistic adults who use psychedelics. It is possible that people with positive experiences were more likely to participate, potentially overestimating the benefits. Additionally, the study relied on participants' memories of past experiences and their perceptions of change, which can be influenced by memory biases. The questionnaires used were also modified to assess perceived change, and while they showed good internal consistency in this study, their validity in this adapted format hasn't been fully established. Finally, the study design was cross-sectional, meaning it captured data at one point in time, and therefore cannot prove that psychedelics directly captured the reported changes.
Despite these limitations, the researchers concluded that their findings suggest that some autistic adults perceive lasting benefits in mental health and social functioning from psychedelic experiences. These results justify further research, specifically controlled clinical trials, to explore the potential of psychedelic interventions for autistic people. Future studies should assess both potential benefits and risks. paying particular attention to the safety and ethical considerations. The research emphasized the importance of involving the autistic community in future research and focusing on improving well-being and understanding, rather than aiming to cure autism. They also recommended that the future research should investigate why some individuals were experiencing negative effects and how to minimize these risks in potential therapeutic settings. The study perceived that the changes in mental health and social engagement attributed to a single psychedelic experience in autistic adults. Results from an online survey was authored by Jack Straw, Charlotte Rice, Aaron Orsini, Marco Schlosser, Justin Lee, Will Bandy, and Sanjeev K. Kambaj.
Yeah, so very cool story there. Very cool. I enjoyed reading that one.
I did too. Give me a second. My computer's froze. All right. Okay. That brings us back to us, and me saying beautiful lines as soon as I grab my thing. So that's all the time that we have for today. The next article we'll bring next week. Ron, thank you for hanging out with me today.
You're welcome, Mel. You're very welcome, Mel. I was glad to help out when I could. So,
thank you for joining us here on Psychedelic Reporters on NOK Network, and for tuning in to our video podcast on NOK Network's Rumble and YouTube pages, as well as our social media sites.
That's right, and we hope you all enjoyed your update on mainstream media coverage of psychedelic medicine advancements from around the globe.
Many thanks to our sponsors and to my joint host, Terry Simpson, or Ron McNabb, my bad, Ron McNabb, and to Various for choosing our stories for us, and to you, our listeners, for joining each week on Psychedelic Tuesday. Let's hear from Denringer again from Kirkland Lake on our way out. Good night!
Good night, everyone. Peace.
This button.
Looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of